Hello, Internet! Shal is here, and it's time for another episode of ShoutStone. I am bringing you another Shoutcast from the Hearthstone beta, this one brought to me by Totalbiscuit. Now, I have received permission from Totalbiscuit to cast some of his matches, and possibly some of his arena runs. I might do that for some seasons of arena time, in between Trump and everything like that. But this particular series of games that I wanted to start with, I found the concept particularly amusing. I haven't actually seen the games yet, but the whole concept struck me as hilarious. Now, just before the beta wipe, Totalbiscuit decided to create decks with massive amounts of legendary cards in them, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and they culminated in a 19 legendary deck. So this game that I'm going to cast for you today is one of Totalbiscuit's 19 legendary games. And I think it's going to be pretty amazing. So let's just get right down to business, shall we? It is Gul'dan versus gul'dan. Totalbiscuit playing the part of the first Warlock, Volcane playing the part of the other Warlock. So, not a bad starting hand for a 19 legendary deck. He's going to try and pass on Baron Geddon, but he has an Ironbeak Owl and a couple of pint-sized summoners, and Harrison Jones. So that's not bad for a deck with 19 legendary cards in it. Now, of course, some legendaries are low cost, some are ridiculously high cost. So it makes things interesting depending on what kind of legendaries are actually in this deck. Again, I have not seen any of these games, I just know that they existed. I heard about them and I was just fascinated. So I'm eager to kind of see what happens here. Oh, that's too bad. He played the Succubus and it got rid of his summoning portal. That is not the kind of card you want to lose. But he has played that pint-sized summoner, so the mana cost of his minions has been reduced. He can play his first minion, will at least be 2 mana cheaper, thanks to the passive on there. So he could play... he could probably play the other pint-sized summoner if he really wanted to. But I don't know if he wants to drop that Ironbeak Owl quite yet. I probably wouldn't. Oh, this is a challenging choice. He could still life tap, maybe get a few other options for the next turn. And yeah, he's going to go ahead and just drop that second card, get that out there, so at least if the Succubus decides to take one of them out, he will still have one available for the next turn. Going to drop an Iron for Grizzly to start things off and take one of the summoners out. So we're getting into some interesting territory here. We are at the 3-drop. Harrison Jones is an option. Faceless Manipulator, probably not the option you want to play this early. It's much more useful later game when there's something a little sturdier to deal with. He does have that Ironbeak Owl, which he can use to shut down the Iron for Grizzly if he wanted to. But it's an interesting predicament. I mean, this kind of deck, I don't even really know how to explain it. You know, it's just a really interesting setup. I mean, Harrison Jones is a cheap legendary because he's only sort of useful in some situations, but not all. Gosh, this is going to be interesting, the decision that he wants to make here. He's going to life tap instead. That leaves him with just an Alarmabot, but he's not going to play anything this turn because he just doesn't have anything that he can really do much with. So let's see what Volcane decides to do. He's probably going to take out the other pint-sized summoner, at least get that out of play. Maybe do that with his Iron for Grizzly, depending on what he has. Now he's going to Demon Fire the Succubus. Yeah, probably attacking with that Iron for Grizzly, get rid of the summoner, and then attacking with the Succubus to do a nice chunk of damage. Yep, or either, or the other way around, whatever. And he's going to life tap to get a couple more options, but turn is passed. Alex Straza, now an option. Options are limited. He does have that Ironbeak Owl, which he can use to shut down the Succubus. Let's see what he's going to do there. So he does make that play to at least neutralize the severity of the threat. If this game goes late, then he stands a much better chance. But as it stands right now, it's very hard to save this deck when you have so many legendaries. But I think that's kind of the fun of it, you know? That's the beauty of this kind of deck. Yeah, this is not looking good for Totalbiscuit. Does get another succubus in play. I mean, he is on the clock right now. He's staring at, you know, game-ending damage. I don't think he really has much in the way of options here. I mean, he could... yeah, he's just going to concede this game. It's just not going to be enough to really respond. Unfortunately, that was one of the curses of the legendary heavy deck. But I think we should get another game out of this. Let's cast another one. I'm going to do it right now. It's going to be Gul'dan versus Valeera. So Totalbiscuit playing the part of Gul'dan, the Warlock, and Raider Scott playing the part of Valeera, the Rogue. So, not so many good legendary cards. A Summoning Portal, which is very handy. And Millhouse Mana Storm, at least it's something. At least it is a 2-drop minion, so we can get something out there. But this is it's gonna be kinda ugly. I don't really know what to say here. It's gonna be something. Baron Geddon. Well, this will be great if the game happens to go to the mid-rounds. And that is a very nice 2-drop minion. Regardless of its battle cry, it is a 4/4 minion for 2 mana. So, that can be actually a very imposing minion to get out on the field this early. So it might give him the time that he needs to, you know, continue this game forward, get a little bit more mana, and actually play some of these legendaries. Alright, gonna pop Sprint because he's gonna be able to do it for free, thanks to Millhouse Mana Storm. Get a bunch of cards. And weigh some options. I'm gonna play Sprint again. That might, yeah, that's gonna fill up his hand, so hopefully he's got something he can actually play. You certainly don't want to get to a point where your hand is so full that you're just, you know, burning cards. I'm gonna play Shiv and replace that card immediately, so that really doesn't help get rid of cards. Millhouse Mana Storm is a great minion, but he's gonna sap it to return it to his hand, so that's a very clever play. He loaded up his hand, though. So, it'll be interesting to see just where this goes. He's going to dagger up. Better attack quickly. And, no. Decides not to attack. Okay. Fair enough. Millhouse Mana Storm back into play. Once again, spells are free. And the rogue player is going to have to decide. Or, I guess it really depends on what he may have. I mean, he may have a handful of minions, which is not exactly super useful. But going to attack the Warlock once again. Play another sap. This is going very well. Fortunately, he did, you know, get a few saps in there. So he's burned both of his saps. Hopefully, not too early. That could be a regrettable decision. Millhouse Mana Storm back out again. A little bit of threatening by Totalbiscuit. But he can't be sapped again, so at least there's that. Still no other minions out on the field for the rogue player. I think he's just really trying to burn as many spells as he can to try and damage as much as he can. No, Wolf Rider going to come into play. Looks like he's going to trade the Wolf Rider and the guard there to take everything out. No, he's going to burn Cold Blood on the Wolf Rider. That's a very interesting decision. Now, is he going to just bypass Millhouse Mana Storm? Yes, he's going to use Assassinate, which he could play for free. That's actually a very good play there. He was able to burn Cold Blood to get a 7/1 minion. And he burned Assassinate, both for free before he took out Millhouse Mana Storm. So now he can just charge right in with that Wolf Rider, do a nice chunk of damage to TB, and follow up with the minions. So, once again, things not looking quite as shiny as they should for Totalbiscuit in his 19 legendary deck. Let this be a lesson to you. Legendaries do not win you games. Oh, man. Well, Yeah, I mean, you could play the Summoning Portal, but it's just going to be a hot target for that Wolf Rider. I mean, if he decides to take it out, it'll at least get that 7 damage off of him for a while, which is a good choice. Instead of burning that 7 damage in the few health that he has left. No, he's just going to ignore the Summoning Portal and try to burn TB down before it is too late. Still haven't even reached quite the midway point, but he can now play Baron Geddon, which is a nice menu to get into play on this next turn. It's going to do Fan of Knives. That's going to do 1 point of damage and allow him to draw another card. No free spells this go around, however. That option is gone. It is off the table. And is he going to attack in with the Footman? He's thinking hard about it. Yes, he will burn that 1 damage on the hero. Going to stack his daggers again. Keep in mind this is pre-patch, so that's why this is working. And that's why TB made a 19 legendary deck, because it didn't matter by this point. Alright, so the Beast is a possible option, Baron Geddon a possible option, a few other options out there on the table for him. Thankfully the portal is still alive, but he has to take out that Wolf Rider, or his turn is over, and his game is over, I should say. He's going to play another Summoning Portal. And he's going to play Baron Geddon. So here we go. Turn over, 2 damage to everybody, and that does clear the field. However, it does reduce him to 5 HP. So depending on what the rogue player has, Baron Geddon was actually a great choice to keep him alive, or at least remove the immediate threat. Now it just depends on what other cards are left in this rogue player's hands, but... Oh, no, Assassinate. Well, that takes care of that threat. But there are still both of those Summoning Portals up, so that could mean very good things. Elven Archer is going to take one of them out. And that might be it. Out of mana, out of options. Turn is going to have to be passed here. Oh, no, he does have Backstab. And that's going to finish off the other Summoning Portal. This is really solid play from this rogue player. Fortunately for him, he's, playing against a terrible, terrible deck. That is just, designed for fun. But, still, hey, whatever, man. It's all good. So, he can play the Beast now. That's one option. Was he going to play Lore Walker Cho instead? Yeah, this looks like this is what he's going to do. Drop that Defender of Argus, which will at least give him a taunt minion. So that'll act as a bit of a shield for now. Could he drag this game out to the 8 or 9 mana point? Is the real question. A lot of it depends on what this rogue player has for cards. What he can burn for cards. He's already burned both of his Assassinates, both Saps, both Sprints. So those kinds of moves are off the table. This is a constructed match. He's going to do Fan of Knives, which will give a copy of it to TB because of the effect that Lore Walker Cho has. If you're not familiar with that card, basically his ability is that every spell that's played gives a copy of it to the opponent. So, and he's going to take it out with the Wolf Rider, but he's going to leave that Defender of Argus in play. Things still not quite where they need to be for Totalbiscuit. Another Shiv, that drops him down to 4. But he's out of mana, and therefore out of options unless he has another free card. Well, we're at the 7 mana point. Beast still an option. Beast may be the only option. Indeed, it is. The Beast comes into play. A quick attack, and the turn is passed. So, now, can TB survive this turn? Can the rogue player deal 4 damage on this turn? He's going to equip Assassin's Blade. That'll give him 3. And yeah, he's just going to concede because he knows he's just going to use his hero power to add that 4th point of damage. So, unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I think that's going to do it. I think we've had a good run here. 2 of the examples of why legendaries do not win you games. At least legendaries do not win you games when you put 19 of them in a 30-card deck. but I figured that would be fun to watch. We'll see if there's anything better that we can talk about on a future episode, but that's going to do it for this episode of ShoutStone. I'll be back tomorrow with the next episode of Arena Time with Trump, and of course back every single day with more and more Hearthstone action, so don't miss it. But thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Facebook and on Twitter. The links are in the description below. Just scroll down to find them a little bit. And subscribe for daily updates. Leave a comment, like the video, and thanks so much weird words. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you all next time.